She got into the car and began driving to a nearby grocery store. On the way there, she was stopped by a cop who gave her a ticket for not having a baby seat in the car. Pauline didn't argue with the police officer. She knew it was hopeless to explain that I was her husband, not her baby. She told me she knew of a second-hand children's store nearby and stopped there before going to the grocery store. Pauline said she had no intention of getting another ticket. Pauline took him into the children's store and inquired whether they had any baby seats. The saleswoman showed her several and Pauline picked out a seat in reasonably good condition. She saw some diaper bags and purchased one of those too. The more she thought about it, the more sensible Gina's idea sounded, she told me when we got to the car. If I was going to behave like a baby, then by God, she said, she'd treat me like a baby. She installed the baby seat into the rear of our car and strapped me in. Pauline stopped at the grocery store as promised and took me inside with her. The thought of being arrested for parental negligence for leaving me in the car left a bad taste in her mouth. She said she could picture herself handcuffed in the back of a police car as her husband was whisked off to a foster home. She'd never be able to explain to the court what had happened to him. Pauline said that she suspected that the longer she waited, the less likely she was to able to return me to my former state. A day or two didn't matter, but a month would be disastrous. When we got to the grocery store, I saw what she meant by treating me like a baby. She sat me in the cart facing her and proceeded immediately to the baby aisle. I watched in horror as she filled the cart with diapers, baby food and baby care items. She really meant it. I hung my head in shame as several mothers looked at me and grinned. The stain forming on the front of my training pants must be obvious to everyone. When we went out to the car, Pauline left me in the cart while she put the groceries behind the driver's seat. She bent over to take something from one of the bags and then lifted me out of the cart. To my surprise, she didn't take me over to the baby seat, but instead laid me down on the back seat next to the grocery bags. What was she doing? She lifted my legs to raise my bottom from the seat and slid something underneath my bottom. She lowered me to the seat again and grinned before putting a pacifier in my mouth. A pacifier? I was mortified. She tugged on the pants and with a single movement, pulled the pants off me. I looked around in humiliation to see if there were any witnesses to my shame as she pushed my feet back until my knees were in my chest and my dirty bottom was fully exposed to her. Tears of embarrassment rolled off my cheeks as she wiped my bottom clean with a baby wipe and then released me. The next thing I knew, she was pulling the diaper up between my legs and fastening the tapes. A minute later, I found myself sitting in a baby seat with a pacifier in my mouth and wearing diapers. When we came home, she left me strapped into the baby seat of the car while she unloaded the groceries. She came back out and carried me into the house on her hip as if I was a baby. I guess I am, but I still have an adult mind and deserve to be treated like an adult. That afternoon was pure hell. She refused to let me use the toilet and forced me to pee in my diapers instead. I screamed and cried, but my tears had no effect of her whatsoever. She was determined to punish me for my infantile fit of rage. She made me eat baby food and drink formula from baby bottles until I thought my stomach was going to pop. Then she made me crawl around on the floor to work off the effects of the food. All the pureed vegetables and formula had a profound effect on my metabolism. Before I went to sleep, I found myself pooping helplessly in my diaper. I wept miserably as she changed me. Then she wrapped me in an old blanket and laid down with me to go to sleep. I had to convince her to make another attempt to change me back into an adult again, I thought as I fell asleep.